We have arrived at the final moments of our journey with the little prince. The story that taught us to see with our hearts, to view the world with curious eyes, and to recognize true friendship is coming to an end. Let us now dive into the last chapter, into the farewell of the little prince and the encounter with the stars that will forever remind us of him. The Little Prince, based on a story by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. Chapter 25. The Singing Well. The people, said the little prince, travel in fast trains, but they don't know where they're going. They're restless and go round in circles. Then he added, "It's not worth the trouble. The well we reached was different from the usual wells in the Sahara, which are mostly just simple holes dug in the sand. This well looked like a village well, even though there was no village in sight. It almost seemed like a dream." "It's strange," I said to the little prince. "Everything is ready, the pulley, the bucket, and the rope." He laughed, let the rope play with the pulley, and the pulley groaned like an old windmill that had long been idle. "Do you hear that?" said the little prince. "We're waking the well, and it's singing." I didn't want him to strain himself. "Let me do it," I said. "It's too heavy for you." Slowly I pulled the bucket up to the edge of the well. I gently set it down. The song of the pulley echoed in my ears, and I saw the sun trembling in the rippling water. "I'm so thirsty for this water," said the little prince. "Give me something to drink." Then I understood what he had been looking for. I lifted the bucket to his lips. He drank with his eyes closed. It was like a celebration. This water was more than just a drink. It was born of our efforts under the stars, of the song of the pulley, and of the work of my hands. It was good for the heart, like a gift. As a child, it was the lights of the Christmas tree, the music of the midnight mass, the tenderness of smiling faces that made the Christmas gifts I received so wonderful. "The people where you live," said the little prince, "grow 5,000 roses in a single garden, and yet they do not find what they are looking for." "No, they do not find it," I replied. "And yet what they are looking for could be found in a single rose, or in a little water." "Yes, that's true," I said, and the little prince added, "But the eyes are blind. One must look with the heart." I had drunk, and I breathed easily. The sand, in the morning light, was the color of honey. I was happy about this honey-colored sand. What should I be worried about? "You must keep your promise," said the little prince gently, who had sat down beside me again. "What promise?" "You know, a muzzle for my sheep. I am responsible for this flower." I took out my sketches. The little prince looked at them and laughed. "Your baobabs look like cabbages." Oh, I was very proud of my baobabs. "Your fox, his ears look a bit like horns, and they're too long." And he laughed again. "You must understand, little man, that I've only ever drawn closed and open boas." "Oh, that will be fine," he said. "The children will recognize it." So I drew a muzzle, and with a heavy heart I handed it to the little prince. "You have plans that I do not know about. But he did not answer. Instead, he said, "You know, my fall to earth, tomorrow is the anniversary." After a pause, he said, "I landed very close to here," and he blushed. Without knowing why, I felt a strange pain. A question came to my mind. Was it by chance that on the morning I met you 8 days ago, you were wandering alone, far from any inhabited place? Were you going back to the place where you landed? The little prince blushed again, and I hesitantly added, "Was it the anniversary?" The little prince blushed once more. He had never answered a question directly, but when someone blushes, it means yes, doesn't it? "Ah," I said to him, "I'm afraid." But he responded calmly, "You must go back to work now. You must return to your airplane. I'll be waiting for you here. Come back tomorrow evening." But I was not reassured. I remembered the fox. One runs the risk of weeping a little if one lets oneself be tamed. Chapter 26. A gift for the pilot. Beside the well, there was an old stone wall. When I returned from my work in the evening, I saw the little prince sitting there from a distance, his legs dangling. I heard him speak. "You don't remember?" he said. It wasn't exactly here. Apparently, someone was answering him, for he said, "Yes, yes, it's the day, but this isn't the place." I walked closer to the wall. Although I neither saw nor heard anyone, the little prince spoke again. "Of course. You will see where my trace begins in the sand. Why don't you wait for me there? I will be there tonight." When I was 20 meters away from the wall, I still saw nothing. After a while, the little prince spoke again. "You have good poison? Are you sure I won't suffer long?" My heart sank, but I still didn't understand. "Now go away," he said. "I want to come down." I stared at the wall and made a great leap. There, in front of the little prince, was one of those yellow snakes that can kill in 30 seconds. I grabbed my revolver and ran, but the snake, hearing my noise, slithered back into the sand with a faint metallic sound, slowly disappearing between the stones. I arrived just in time to catch the little prince in my arms. He was pale as snow. "What's the matter? Are you talking to snakes now?" I took off his golden scarf and moistened his temples. I gave him something to drink and didn't dare ask any more questions. He looked at me seriously and wrapped his arm around my neck. I could feel his heart beating like that of a dying bird struck by a hunter's bullet. He said, "I'm glad you found the fault in your machine. Now you can go back home." "How did you know that?" I was about to tell him that against all odds I had succeeded in repairing it. He didn't answer my question, but added, "Even I'm going home now." Then, with melancholy, "It's much farther. It's much more difficult." I felt something extraordinary was happening. I held him close, like a child. Yet he seemed to me to be slipping down into an abyss from which I could not save him. He looked very serious, with his eyes lost in the distance. "I have your sheep, and I have the box for the sheep, and I have the muzzle." He smiled sadly. I waited a long time. I could feel he was getting warmer and warmer. "Little man, you were afraid." Of course, he was afraid, but he smiled gently. I will be much more afraid tonight. An icy feeling of inevitability crept over me. The thought of never hearing that laughter again was unbearable. To me, it was like a well in the desert. Little man, I want to keep hearing your laughter. But he said, tonight it will be a year. My star will be just above the place where I fell last year. Little man, isn't this all just a bad dream with that snake and the star? But he didn't answer directly. He said, what is essential is invisible to the eye. Of course, it's like with the flower. If you love a flower that lives on a star, it's sweet to look at the night sky. All the stars have flowers. Of course, it's like with the water. The water you gave me to drink was like music. The pulley and the rope. Do you remember? It was good. Of course, you will look at the stars tonight. My star is too small for you to see. It's better that way. My star will be just one of the stars for you, so you will like watching all the stars. They will all be your friends, and I will give you a present. He laughed again. Ah, little man, I love to hear your laughter. That's my gift. It will be like water. What do you mean? People have stars, but they are not the same. For travelers, the stars are guides. For others, they are nothing but tiny lights. And still others, for the scholars, they are problems. For my businessmen, they were gold. But all those stars are silent. You, though, you will have stars like no one else. What do you mean? When you look up at the sky at night, since I'll be living on one of them, it will be as if all the stars were laughing. You, only you, will have stars that can laugh. And he laughed again. And when you are comforted, we always are, you'll be glad to have known me. You will always be my friend. You will want to laugh with me. And sometimes you will open your window just for the fun of it. And your friends will be surprised to see you laughing while you're looking at the sky. Then you will say, yes, the stars always make me laugh. And they will think you're crazy. It will be my little joke. And he laughed again. It will be as if I had given you, instead of stars, little bells that know how to laugh. And he laughed again. Then he became serious. Tonight, you know, don't come. I won't leave you. I will seem to be in pain. I will look a little as if I were dying. It will be like that. Don't come to see that. It's not worth it. I won't leave you. But he was concerned. I'm telling you this because of the snake. It mustn't bite you. Snakes are bad. They can bite just for fun. I won't leave you. But something reassured him. It's true that they don't have poison for a second bite. That night, I didn't notice when he left. He slipped away so quietly. When I managed to catch up with him, he was walking briskly. He only said, "Ah, you're here?" He took my hand, but he was still worried. "That's wrong of you. It will make you sad. It will look as if I'm dead, but it won't be true." I said nothing. "You understand. It's too far. I can't take this body with me. It's too heavy." I said nothing. "My body will be like an old abandoned shell. There's no need to be sad about old shells." I said nothing. He was a little discouraged, but he made an effort. "You know, it will be nice. I will also look at the stars. All the stars will be wells with rusty pulleys. All the stars will give me something to drink." I said nothing. "That will be so much fun. You will have 500 million laughing bells. I will have 500 million wells." And he fell silent because he was crying. "There, now let me take another step alone." He sat down because he was afraid. He said, "You know my flower, I'm responsible for her, and she's so weak and so naive. She has 4 thorns of no use at all to protect herself against the world." I sat down because I couldn't stand any more. He said, "There, that's all." He hesitated a little more, then he stood up. He took a step. I couldn't move. There was nothing but a flash of yellow at his ankle. He stood still for a moment. He didn't cry out. He fell gently, like a tree falls. There was not even a sound when he fell onto the sand. Chapter 27. The Laughing Stars. It has now been 6 years. I haven't told this story to anyone until now. My friends, who saw me again, were very happy to see that I was alive. I, on the other hand, was sad and only said, "I am exhausted." Over time, I have found some comfort. Not completely, but a little. I am sure he returned to his planet because at sunrise his body was nowhere to be found. It was not very heavy, and at night I love listening to the stars. It's as if 500 million little bells were ringing, but now something extraordinary has happened. When I drew the muzzle for the little prince, I completely forgot to add a leather strap. He probably couldn't have put the muzzle on the sheep. I wonder what could have happened on his planet. Maybe the sheep did eat the flower after all. Sometimes I think, certainly not. The little prince surely protects his flower every day with the glass dome and watches over his sheep. That makes me happy, and the stars softly smile. But sometimes I also think it only takes a moment of carelessness. Maybe one evening he forgot the glass dome, or the sheep quietly slipped away during the night. Then all the little bells turn into tears. This is a great mystery. For us, who love the little prince, and for me, it matters whether somewhere in the universe there is a sheep we don't know about that has eaten a rose or not. Look up at the sky. Ask yourselves, has the sheep eaten the flower or not? Then you will see how everything changes. None of the grown-ups will ever understand how important this is. For me, this is the most beautiful and the saddest landscape in the world. It's the same as before, but I have drawn it again to show you the full extent. This is exactly where the little prince appeared on Earth, and this is where he disappeared again. Look at it carefully, so that you will recognize it if you ever travel to the African desert one day. And if you happen to pass by, I beg you, don't hurry on. Wait a little while under the star. If a child comes to you, if they laugh, if they have golden hair, and don't answer your questions, you will know who it is. Then, please be kind. Don't let me be sad. Write to me as soon as he returns.